Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Gutfeld, along with Andrea Tanteros, Bob Beckel, Eric Bowling, and she freebases Pixie Sticks. It's Dana Perino. It's 5 o'clock in New York City and slightly balmy. So 1 week ago, President Obama said this about government.
You've grown up hearing voices that incessantly warn of government as nothing more than some separate, sinister entity that's at the root of all our problems. You should reject these voices, because what they suggest is that our brave and creative and unique experiment in self-rule is somehow just a sham with which we can't be trusted.
Yeah, about those voices. First they said Benghazi, then they said the IRS, and now they say the DOJ. That's quite a threesome. All that's missing is a twister, Matt. I say this is trouble, but you never know with our media who'll put up with anything. The AP's editor called Obama looking into their phone records clearly distressing. That's an understatement. But what can you expect? President Obama snooping on the AP is like a husband keeping tabs on his wife. They're married to each other. Why don't you trust me, President Obama, the AP frets. After all that dirt I dug up on Mitt, you still don't love me? Please don't leave. But it's on the AP for trusting Obama. Remember the left's golden rule: for the greater good, all is permissible. Supremely tolerant, I need not tolerate you, which is why you can target the Tea Party. Now, sadly, the AP knows what that's like. Leave it to Obama to finally unite the Tea Party and the press. So we've got 3 scandals, a flurry of corruption that has heads spinning faster than a load of wet laundry. If only there was some kind of profession that covers such events, that informs the public. We can dream, for today's journalists love Obama more than journalism itself. They're like the Memphis Mafia, the yes men whose only job was to keep Elvis Presley happy. That ended well. Yep, each scandal is a fried bacon and peanut butter sandwich, swallowed one after the other. It's not so bad, says the media mafia, but don't be surprised when the heart of the administration finally gives out. Andrea, what happened to No Drama Obama? This guy is now a Lifetime Channel miniseries. I mean, it's not. When is this going to stop?
I actually Lifetime miniseries, like Co-Ed Call Girl and Not Without My Daughter with Sally Field. So
Yeah.
watch which miniseries you insult, Greg. Okay, so you said spinning laundry, wet laundry. How about spinning dirty laundry that isn't getting clean? I mean, this is a president who hasn't been held accountable until now.
Right.
So I think that he's getting very angry, very defensive. Washington Post gave him 4 Pinocchios on Benghazi. But I feel like, Greg, they've been lying for so long. They're so comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And they're not used to the media stopping them and fact-checking them on a lot of this stuff. Carney also said management, or he basically said the president sets the tone. Management is more than just giving speeches and setting the tone. But that's what they're saying. President set the tone. That's it. If they're going to act this way, I had no idea about it. It's a management failure. Yesterday I asked, liar, bad guy, or bad manager? We know for sure bad manager, for sure. Liar? We don't know yet.
Bob, is the credibility gap now becoming the credibility Snake River Canyon?
Snake River Canyon? This is a difficult day for me, as you can probably imagine.
Each day is getting more difficult for
I
you,
know
Bob.
that. Let me start by saying this. The good news today for the Obama administration is that Eric Holder had recused himself from this investigation because the FBI was actively investigating the leaks of information about a very sensitive investigation about blowing up an American airline. And so under the thing that you all love so much, the Patriot Act, they're allowed to do these things if they've exhausted every other possibility. So whether we like it or not, that's the law. They can do that. They ought to change the law, frankly. The other thing is, when it comes to the investigation of the conservative groups, let's keep in mind that this was done under the auspices of a man who was appointed the IRS director by George Bush, and who knew about it up until June 11th and never told the Republicans. In fact, told the Republicans it was not the case. And so did this current director, which means I think it was an isolated incident by people in the Cincinnati office.
Or Eric, it's Bush's fault. It is Bush's fault.
Isolated incident. That's great. That's rich. That's more than rich.
You have to. I accept what the guy said. It was Bush appointed that he did.
Wait, you're saying that the head of the IRS is the isolated person incident? That's what you're saying? Because clearly there are so many investigations that they're going to find. They're going to find that there's a huge problem with not only highlighting conservatives in the IRS. what they did beyond that was they took the information. These conservative groups were applying to the IRS for tax-exempt status, 501c4 status. Very importantly, turning over some important information that was just unique to them, that they didn't want everyone, including their donors, they didn't want that out there. And then they went and leaked this information to ProPublica. I have some information on, I looked up ProPublica. ProPublica is a liberal, a progressive group. For them to leak...
One of my favorite radio stations.
No, well, for them to leak conservative information, proprietary information to liberal progressive groups that are funded by the Sandler family and also George Soros, it's problematic. It goes beyond problematic. It may reach into the illegal category. So it goes on beyond, way beyond an isolated incident.
Well, no, it's not. It's not that. I'm suggesting that both the two IRS directors did not, in fact, know this was going on. The one that Bush appointed, the one that Obama appointed to follow him up, both said...
How irresponsible of President Obama to keep to have somebody that the Bush administration appointed, like
it's a 5-year term.
Brennan.
It's a 5-year term.
Right, so that's why it's preposterous. It doesn't matter who appointed him. It matters that it happened on their watch, and they're trying to sweep it under the rug.
But that director said it did not happen, and I believe him when he said he didn't know it happened.
Well, but that
goes back to the credibility. Who can you believe?
Well, okay, there are two players common to all three of these scandals that you talked about, okay? Obama himself, or the White House, and the press. The press ignored claims from the Tea Party for 3 years that they were being targeted by the IRS. The press gave Obama a pass on Benghazi for 7 months. Yeah, they get 4 Pinocchios, but 7 months after the fact. When the facts haven't changed.
Yeah. You know what's funny about the Tea Party?
Can I get my third one?
Sure.
The press now are connected because they're outraged that they were targeted. That's the only reason that they're all united now.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? It's never President Obama's fault.
Nothing.
It's never. Benghazi's not his fault. Fast and Furious was a couple of agents in Phoenix. Solyndra wasn't his fault. IRS scandal's not going to be his fault. AP tracking.
Are you suggesting the President of the United States ordered these people investigated?
I'm suggesting that the President knew about all of these things
You
in
knew
one
that they were
way,
investigating.
shape, or form.
That is a very serious allegation.
All right, well then, Bob, at best, if he did not know, it goes back to my point, then he is unfit and incapable of managing
Perhaps
and doing his job. And maybe inexperienced.
So let me ask you this. Then why do it? Then why would the IRS purposely go after only conservative groups for 501c3?
Because my guess is there were some liberals in the organization that decided to go after these groups because they were spending money.
Okay, well, they work for President Obama.
Yes, for what reason? Because they wanted the accolades of finding out some information on conservatives, right?
I would need to suggest that this was something that Obama ordered happen is a very serious allegation.
That's not what I said, Bob. That is not what I said.
That's what
I said I think, my guess, it's a guess.
You said he thought you threw it.
He may be aware of it. I didn't say he ordered it. I say he may, some way, shape, or form, be aware of it. That's a big difference.
I don't think he cares.
Go ahead and target.
I think he's actually that concerned if they were targeted.
I think that they also have terrible, what I call scandal-dar, like a radar. I am, if you cut me open,
Scandar.
I have so much scandal-dar, I assume everything is going to be a scandal and you have to get on top of it. Let's just give an example on the IRS thing on timing, just from a communication strategy standpoint. Friday, Jay Carney, the press secretary, says they just learned about it. President Obama on Monday says, I learned about it from press reports. Today, Jay Carney says, well, actually, people in the White House were notified 2 years ago. The press reports say that people have known about this for 3 years. So no one's talking to anybody about anything ever, except for like what time they have to be at the fundraiser in New York.
Could I also piggyback on that quickly? Yeah. They also have a conflicting message on the IRS as well. The IRS is saying that the actions actually took place. They apologized for that. President Obama is saying if these actions took place, they can't get on the same page. And I'm sorry, maybe they're just used to scandal. Maybe they are just numb to it because these aren't the first bunch that we've seen. The NSA leaks, the DOJ Black Panther, Fast and Furious, Department of Energy Solyndra, Department of Agriculture Pigford, now the Department of Justice again, the CIA Secret Service, the IRS. It's an alphabet soup of impropriety. It's been this way for years.
You've got 2 IRS commissioners who both said they told Congress they did not know about this. That means they both lied. Is that what you're saying?
We know for a fact that Lois Lerner knew about this.
Lois Lerner did. That's right.
So why didn't President Obama knew?
Because Lois, the scheme of the government,
because
she is so far down on the list.
It's always a lower level aide.
Sure, yeah.
Somebody who doesn't have any responsibility or any connection or the people that you are paying, the salaries that you're paying for all the lower level aides, They don't have any responsibility. They're completely disconnected. The problem is political protectionism. They have been protected by the press and also by their allies. From ever having to deal with certain problems. Now, then that started very early. Do you remember jobs saved or created? That was a total baloney way to talk about the economy, but the press bought it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they've been cushioned from everything, so you get to the point where you'll say virtually anything, even if it is ridiculous and the evidence proves otherwise. I would think that the leaders of the Democratic Party are very worried right now, because one of the things that they were able to try to do is to say we can deal with national security in the way that America wants, and we will be competent managers and governors. That is proven to be false.
But you've been in government, so have I. Do you believe that somebody who's a deputy director of the IRS would have face-to-face with the President of the United States?
I know this. If the deputy director of the IRS thought that they had a serious problem like this one, that somebody would have told the Treasury Department, who would have called the White House Cabinet Affairs Office and said, I think we've got a problem here. Or it could have gone the other way, which is, for 3 years you've been reading about this. So you say in the press office, can you call the Treasury press office and say, look, maybe this is all baloney, but could you check it out for me? So that you call and you say, hey, Treasury, could you check it out? And they call the IRS. So somehow there's communication that either is not happening because they don't want to have responsibility for anything, or they know about it.
Or, I can give you one more. Or he has a ring around him that just shields him from everything. And they say, President Obama, just go do your campaign stops, go do your fundraisers in New York, go play basketball, go to Vegas, do what you got to do. We're not even going to bother you with the details.
But
of
why
dead
not be
Americans
outraged? If I'm him, then heads should roll.
Like, why doesn't anyone tell me anything
about just about anything? He hasn't gotten really, really angry about 4 dead Americans, spying, now spying on the press.
The only person he gets mad about are conservatives.
Don't you think it's a little ironic that Dick Cheney would call him a lie? Dick Cheney? Who got us involved in a war on lies? He's going to get us.
Please. Really?
Please. That was a war Hillary Clinton.
I love that. It's always, that's like, let's go to that. It's Bush's fault, and Dick Cheney lied.
Cheney did lie. That's what I believe.
The chickens have come home to roost, and they are throwing a kegger.
You banned those phrases.
Yeah, I know.